Well, I've got no idea what was happening there. I don't know if anybody's watching yet, but I had a new title screen. I spent the last 2 days trying hard to work, and for some reason, let me just sort this microphone out, but for some reason, when I hit it, it hasn't worked. How absolutely annoying. Last week, hopefully the stream is going to hold out. We're going to have a better show this week. And, well, let's crack on and find out. I'm going to have one more try at this video and see. No, not working at all. So, Sunday night, 6 o'clock, we're here in the podding shed. We're here to chat about vegetable gardening, grow your own, all that sort of thing. So, as I always, what have you guys been up to in your own allotments or gardens? It's been interesting here down on the south coast. Some really strong winds came through over this last night. Completely demolished the front door of my shed. I have got a little video of that coming up a bit later, along with a few other things. I've also been looking at edible flowers. I've got a video of that coming up in just a bit. And tidying the allotment, getting all the weeds out, getting ready for the winter. Although I don't put things away for the winter in the sense of, well, just putting things away for the winter. I continue gardening right throughout this winter time. Now, I've also just finished my 2 weeks off from work this week. I think it's another shaky. Internet is getting useless. So, what have you been up to? That's what I want to ask. Now, let's have a quick look at the comments, although I think we're having more buffering troubles yet again. Let's see if I can change. See if I can change it onto my phone, which might be faster. I don't know what's going on with my internet. I'm going to complain to my provider tomorrow because it is absolutely useless. I don't know if anybody's watching on YouTube and how it is over there, but over on Facebook I can see Stuart Jackson saying good evening, Richard, and Ian Beddoes. You're late, been here waiting for the last hour. Well, perhaps, Ian, you were just a bit too early. Hasn't it got dark rather early though? I've got to say that. I completely flummoxed me all day. The woke up this morning and it said 20 past 7, but it was bright daylight outside. Of course, that would have been 20 past 8. Not a morning person, in case you haven't worked that out. But also, we've had, the day seems to have really dragged and been really, really slow as we have got on. But we're here now, 6 o'clock. 5 past 6. We're hoping to be here anyway. So, Ian Beddoes, now he has taken the last fruit off his tomatoes and left them on the windowsill tomorrow. Start to get them out and we'll clean the greenhouse. Yeah, I'm probably going to get rid of my tomato plants, actually, in my greenhouse soon. They're probably not going to do much over it. Oh, this stream is getting ridiculous, isn't it? I don't know if you can hear what I'm saying. If you want to call in, 07307 135 174. Hopefully, the stream. What else can I do? I'm just seeing if there's anything else I can quickly run over and see what's going on. No, nothing I can do there. Unfortunately, not when I'm mid-flow anyway. Hopefully, it will just boost up and get better. Richard Phobes is out there saying good evening. And as I was saying, over on YouTube, I can't see much going on. I can see there's people trying to watch, but I suspect the stream is just not holding up enough. Pissed. Trying to watch my words. If you want to call in, 07307 135 174. Now, I mentioned that, I tell you what, let's have a quick look at what's in. So in the news this week, coming from The Guardian, it is something that I've heard many, many times before from the same writer, James Wong, who's saying, don't worry about Latin names or Victorian rules. No need to listen to much good advice, just get stuck in and have some fun. To the uninitiated, the world of horticulture can seem complex pruning rules and a constant fear of killing everything in your care if you deviate even slightly from them. These doubts can serve as a really effective barrier to would-be newbies from experience one of the most rewarding and uplifting and therapeutic of arts. Trust me as a botanist when I tell you it simply doesn't have to be this way. Straight away I can tell you I completely agree with what James Wong is saying there. First things first, what about all these strict Victorian rules? Well, here's a simple truth. When actually tested scientifically, many of these most long-held gardening rules are either based on limited evidence that is not applicable to modern domestic gardens, or frankly may even give you worse results. For example, religiously adding layers of crocks to the bottom of pots actually impedes drainage. Laboriously double digging your flower beds each autumn. Rose pruning rules gives you fewer flowers the next year. Right, Richard Golding, I've just quickly flipped onto the comments. Richard Golding, Facebook is going slow for me. He's watching on YouTube. So I think over on YouTube, although I can't see any comments, I think YouTube is going better. So if you're watching on Facebook, then continue over to YouTube, because hopefully it's better, although I can't see any comments. See what can I do about that. See if I can bring it up here and see what's happening. So what else is James Wong saying? Secondly, Latin is a dead language. There are no ancient Romans around to correct you, and even if there were, the empire was so enormous and encompassing such a vast diversity of cultures, the chances are that however you pronounce them, there would have been a Roman who would have just said, just like you and me, differently. Different stuff. Now, I found this quite interesting, actually, because I remember there was a big debate a couple of years ago about this when James Wong mentioned this, but I have to say I completely agree. Latin, for me, I don't use Latin in any of my podcasts or anything, because I do believe it does pop people off. Right, I've got no comments coming back from YouTube, so I've just seen them. So on YouTube, hi guys. Richard Phobes is saying hello. Evening, Richard. Good evening to you. Anna Jones, hello to you. Steve is currently making green tomato chutney as we speak. Turbo Stream has not much allotment action here. It's been really wet in Birmingham. I did transplant a few strawberry runners in my week in the garden. Steve, thanks Fiona for the recipe. Ernie is watching on YouTube. I don't think anybody's watching on Facebook now. Seems to buffer less on YouTube from Ian Beddoes. Well, that's good, because I hate technology sometimes. Not too bad on YouTube. Excellent. So I can keep going on YouTube to an extent. Maybe go back to OBS. OBS isn't a problem. It's instruments. And we have a caller. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you're calling from? With a van.
That's it. Both to the van here. I just wanted to let you know that YouTube seems to be, it does stutter, right, but we can hear you more consistently. So, the picture doesn't overly matter. It's nice that we can actually hear you. Sorry you can't see the comments.
Yeah, well, that's right. I've pulled my phone out and I'll use that to see the comments. And if anybody on Facebook, I'll just have to divert them over to YouTube to have a look, and hopefully it's better over there.
Yeah, no, it's not too grimmer. Not like last week where it buffered and then also the audio was lost, which made it very frustrating. Pretty much hear everything you say, but occasionally you turn into a still picture for a second or two, and then you resume. But we've got the flow.
Oh, excellent. That's the important thing. As long as there's the flow going, I'm happy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I just thought I'd let you know.
Yes, no, thank you. Thank you. I'm getting frustrated with it. I'm actually using OBS again, so it's not the software.
Oh, it's funny because I put a comment on YouTube saying, "Oh, maybe go back to OBS," and there you are.
There I am. It's not the software. It's obviously the internet. Perhaps the storm or the bad weather last night has caused a problem to my internet, or someone sleeping outside my house may have cut the line.
Yeah, that's very possible. I know there was a bloke with a pair of secateurs nearby.
Yeah, I'll blame him.
Yeah, in a big black van.
In a big black van. So while I have you on the phone, how's your garden coming along?
Yeah, it's a bit neater than now. I picked out the weeds last week. I haven't had any more weeds recently, but I haven't done anything. I haven't luckily had to do any watering. That's been a bonus.
Yep, that is a big bonus at the moment. No watering.
So that's been nice. But otherwise, it has just remained there. The my pride and joy, which hopefully next year will bloom, is my hollyhock. Yeah. And I think you said to me when I rang him before that it will grow, but it won't bloom this year. And it's got loads of leaves bursting out very nicely, but that's all it is.
Excellent. Well, that's what we want to hear. Is it's growing? I think if I remember right, hollyhocks. I know Stuart Jackson is watching, so he might be able to correct me. They're a biannual, so they'll flower in the second year.
Oh, yes, that's what I was told. Whereas my rhubarb has shriveled and died.
Oh right. Oh well, actually, mine has as well. Not shriveled, but it's collapsing back on itself. Certainly down the allotment, at home it's holding on a bit, but it's certainly deteriorated. So I think that's just due to the time of year.
Oh, right, that's all right. Well, I look forward to it bursting into life next year sometime.
Yes, yeah, that's definitely to be expected.
Well, that's grand. But then I have some wild flowers that Andrew Norris sent over, which I planted, and obviously nothing has happened, and I'm waiting now for the spring for them to emerge. So that's about it. My mint is just sort of there, but a bit shriveled.
Right. Okay. Well, the mint is starting to die back at this time of year as well, so hopefully that will come back again next year, and I'll be very surprised if it doesn't come back because nothing kills mint.
Well, that's great. I'll put some nothing on it then.
Put some nothing on it. Yeah. Just leave it, and it'll take over your garden.
Fantastic. There's not much garden, but it's welcome to take because it does give a beautiful smell.
It does. That's one of the things that I like about mint is the smell, especially when you walk past it and brush against it.
Yes, it must be. It must have something that releases that smell when you go down to it and you kick through it or brush it with your hands. Suddenly the aroma just flies up at you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Very lovely.
Lovely, fantastic. Yeah,
cool beans. Well, I'll let you crack on with the show.
Lovely. Thank you very much for letting me know. I'll look forward to seeing any more comments from you as we go on.
Yes, and I gather I must have missed the very opening bit, but I gather you'd worked very hard on an opening sequence and it's not played.
Yeah, I can see it's in there. It's just not played on for some reason. I don't know if it's because it's in my... I think I know why. It's because I've stored it in my server instead of on this computer. Yeah.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame.
No, I can figure that out, though, while... chatting to everyone because I spent ages on that, but never mind.
Good man. I will look forward to catching up now, and of course, if you're somebody else listening, ring in. He's a nice man. Ring in.
Please ring in. More people ring in, the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take care, Richard.
Take care. Cheers. Bye. Bye. There we go. That was Richard Voves from Worthing calling in about originally about the problems, my little let me know what's happening, but it's good to know it's working over on YouTube. So if you're on Facebook and you're struggling, head on over to YouTube. I can see Stuart Jackson has headed over to YouTube. Audio seems okay on YouTube. Just a picture for it from green chutney, green tomato chutney. She's yet to try hers. Ian Beddoes, was the van to replace the car, Mr. Vobes? Yeah, I can answer that question for you. It was to replace the car. Slightly off topic this, but all I would say is that I was driving that car back. It sounded like a racing car. What else? Stuart Jackson, Richard Leafs on this year. That's what I thought. I knew good old Stuart Jackson would help me with the flower side of things, but I did think they were a biannual or whatever they called it. What else is people saying? Julia Hartley is out there. Hello to you. Hope you are well. Rhubarb dies back in the autumn. Richard, mine produced lots this year. That's actually where I've produced a hell of a lot of rhubarb. I do have a lot of rhubarb crowns. In fact, I might have to try and get rid of some over the winter, thinking about it. But I quite like rhubarb. We eat lots of it. And to be honest, it's one of those... It is a vegetable, so I'm going to call it a vegetable. It's one of those vegetables that comes in really nice and early, and you run out of ideas what you can do with it. There's only so many rhubarb crumbles you can eat. Rhubarb cake seems to go down quite nice. Rhubarb crumble cake was also quite nice, and I've made rhubarb chutney. Obviously, these are all things that next year, hopefully, we'll be making more and more of again. Although it would be nice to find a time with all these sort of things to actually do these things. What else have we got? And Mike Stevens, we were talking about yellow rattle last week. I understand that needs a frost to germinate. I'll be honest, I've not looked into yellow rattle at all yet, so I don't know. But I think it's probably right that it probably does need a frost to germinate. And Ian Beddoes, just think how much you could from the garden centre if you take Vobes. I've got a van myself, so I don't really need that, but that's my work van. And I'll be honest, I'm going back to work tomorrow, and I really don't want to. Now, I'm just going to try this title scene just once again and see if I can get it to work for you guys, because I worked so hard on it over the last week. I want it to work. No. Still not working. Still not working. How absolutely annoying. I'm sure it does. It should work. Now, if anybody does want to call in, like I say, the phone line is open and it is on 07307. Actually, I tell you what. You can call into the show on 07307 135 174. It makes life a bit easier, doesn't it? Much easier. Next week we'll be here in a live show on Sunday, as always. But what we're going to be doing is the Halloween special. We've got a few ideas that I'm toying around with. Got a new Halloween logo coming up. Be on the show this week, and we're going to have a bit of fun. That's what it's all about. Mike Stevens is saying, careful what you wish for, Richard. A second lockdown is forecast. You are right. You are very right. It is forecast or predicted. I don't personally think it will happen, but you don't know. We don't know. Those in Wales that it has happened to, I feel very sorry for you. And if it does happen, there'll be more time spent in my garden. Kevin Hall is on Facebook and saying live feed is really poor, keeps freezing. Head over to YouTube. It seems to be working better over on YouTube, Kevin. Ernie is saying he couldn't ask the farmer for the cow manure that we showed last week because it bucketed it down all last week and dissolved the manure into the soil. I'm sure that the farmer probably cleans out his cows somewhere and stores all that manure somewhere. So it might be worth heading over to your farmer and just find out where he keeps all the cleanings, and he might tell you to help yourself. I've got to contact my supplier of horse manure that I've been looking at, because that'll be quite fun. Well, I say fun, something to do, isn't it? Right. Now, I want... Today, I've been looking at edible flowers, and I've got a video... Excuse me, sorry. Coming out in a bit later this week. I thought I'll give you a quick glimpse into what's happening. Well, in case you're wondering, overnight we've had some really quite strong windy weather come through, which has damaged the door on this potting shed. Slightly annoying because, well, I use it quite often. However, I am in the process currently of building a new shed, which if you've heard on the podcast, you probably know about. But I would like this to last just a bit longer until I can build the shed, but we'll see what we can do anyway. Anyway, that's getting away from the point. Edible flowers. So, here I've just brought a few of the edible flowers that I currently have in my garden. I thought I'd just quickly go over them and explain a little bit about what I do with them and how I use them. Now, I've always been into making my garden only grow edible plants so that everything in here can be eaten in one form or another. That doesn't necessarily always mean vegetables or fruit or herbs. Flowers can be edible in some cases, and that's kind of helped with keeping the wife happy, adding a bit of colour to the place and just making things look a little bit more like a garden instead of looking like an allotment here at home. Now, what is quite a good one actually is roses. Now, roses are great because they look really pretty, they keep my wife happy, but also the flowers on those are edible, and we can toss them into salads or even make rose water, which is used quite a bit in Indian cooking. My wife's heritage is from India, so she really loves having the roses for that very reason. Now, at this time of year, I'm not getting any rose flowers on it just yet, and it's starting to pull itself back, but we can, next year we'll be using that. Now next, this is a common plant actually that I see on allotment sites and in gardens and what have you. It's the dahlia or daylily. These were originally imported years and years ago because of the edible tuber on the bottom. And I believe any dahlia tuber is actually edible, but they also produce these wonderful looking flowers which are very popular. Now, I have eaten dahlia tubers and they are actually really quite nice and they produce a lot. Like I say, they were originally imported for that tuber to be edible. The humble runner bean, that was considered to be imported for a flower. So that's another one I can grow here in this home garden to keep the wife happy. Now, I've got quite a few of these, and these are hostas. I love hostas. I know a lot of people do suffer from slugs with hostas. That's not been what I found here. But the leaves, and pretty much every hosta is edible. The leaves on these, you fry them in a little bit of butter with a bit of garlic. They're actually really delicious. I find they grow really, really well in the shady beds of my garden, so they would be grown down where we don't get much sun at all, along with some of my edible ferns that I plan to get in the future. More on that when that happens. But these really are, I think they're quite a nice looking plant. There's foliage on them with that speckled green and white. This particular variety is called Fantabulous, but there's hundreds of different varieties out there, all with different striking colours, which I just think look wonderful. Now, my final example is actually an annual, and it's one that we can pot in for like the winter colour, violas. Now, these are like the purple and yellow colours, and they can grow into reasonable sized plants. They are bedding plants, they will go underneath. I've put them in this pot, but I've got a few more that I can put in other places. But I absolutely love violas because I think the colour on them really does look good. But again, we can scatter those into salads. We can add them into a vodka, to add like a viola flavour to vodka. I don't drink, so and I really don't like vodka, but apparently that is something that can be done with it really well. So this is something that I absolutely love to do and love to think about, is that if we can add extra edible accents, whatever the word is, to my garden, and it keeps everybody happy, I can continue with my passion of growing food. So what I want to know is, over to you guys, what edible plants do you grow in your own allotment or garden that are not what you would traditionally think of as a vegetable? Let me know in the comments. So there we go. That was a little video I've got coming out later on this week about edible flowers. I can see it has caused quite a bit of a discussion going on. Kevin's gone over to YouTube and saying it's just as bad, whereas Julie went on to Facebook and said it's better on YouTube. God knows what's happening. I can only follow and see what is happening. I'm doing the best. That's all I can say. Mike says, I didn't know you could eat roses. Yes, you take the others and scatter them into something like a salad, and they're edible that way. Or you soak the actual flowers in water to make rose water, which is used in Indian dishes, as I said in that video. It's just something, you're not going to get a huge meal out of these sort of items, but it's just something else to, I feel, with my garden being an edible garden, a great way to add more. Dahlias are gorgeous. They absolutely are. I love the flowers. But I mean, the thing that fascinates me with dahlias is that they were always considered edible. They were originally imported into the UK because they were edible. Whereas now we don't really even consider eating them. Whereas runner beans, they were imported originally for the flower, but now we grow them for the food. I think Mike also asked if anybody's self-sufficient in their own veg. And I think I run along with most people in that I'm certainly self-sufficient in most of my vegetables, but there's always something that we might need. If it was me on my own, I think it would be a lot easier for me to maintain self-sufficiently in our vegetables. Whereas with my wife, who sometimes wants something there and then, and doesn't necessarily know what I've got available, we do end up buying certain stuff that we may already have. I also don't believe it's impossible to be entirely self-sufficient, but we can go a long way to it. We're self-sufficient in rhubarb, we're self-sufficient in eggs, we're self-sufficient in potatoes, we're self-sufficient in cabbages, cauliflowers, tomatoes, lots of things we are actually self-sufficient in. Just like Turbo Stream, who said, I am reasonably self-sufficient in veg, not totally, only buy potatoes as it's to buy them. Not brought any veg from the shop since the summer. Fiona Cooper said she's seen a man eat a daffodil. Now, daffodils I know are also edible, but only the flowers, not the bulbs. The bulbs are known to be poisonous. Tulips are also, the flowers on tulips are also edible. So I've been told. I've yet to try them. Cornflowers are another one that I know to be edible, and something I also really like. That looks like a large-leafed bamboo. Possibly. Again, bamboo shoots on that. Bamboo shoots, edible. So I do have bamboo in my garden, in a pot. What was that? Something was made a noise. Was that my phone? No. Call in if you want to call in. Looking good, Richard. Thank you, Richard Phobes. I don't grow any, sorry, just veg. Okay, no worries. That's from Mike. Stuart, crocuses are a good one if you use saffron. I've actually got saffron crocuses that I've brought and grown for many, many years. And they've not, I've got to check on them actually. They've not really performed that well this year. Perhaps it's, what did I do last year? I emptied all the tubs out and cleared all the bulbs out and started afresh. Perhaps I need to renew them or something a bit later on next year. But the saffron, I mean, that was beautiful. We only really got enough saffron to make a paella, enough for one dish, but it was absolutely delicious. And saffron being one of the most expensive spices on the planet, excuse me, just goes to show or just is another reason why I love growing saffron. And Mike Stevens, saffron cakes are delicious and a traditional Cornish dish. And Turbo Stream, dandelion flowers can be beaten, I think, and nettles, of course. Yeah, dandelion flowers. I made a dandelion honey, a vegan option for honey, back in, I think it was about May time, and that was actually really nice. I've got to say, really, really nice. I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Really enjoy eating this dandelion honey. I'm not a great lover of honey at the best of times, in all honesty, but I just thought I'll give it a try and see how we get on. And stinging nettles, of course, stinging nettle soup. You really want the young plants on that, young shoots. Quite delicious, a bit like spinach, I think, in how it tastes. And it's a rather ornate, rather interesting flavour, I think. And you've got to be brave with it, but once you've done it, it's good. Digwell Greenfingers, hello mate, hope you are well. Jumped in late here, but nasturtium flowers and leaves are superb, very peppery. Yeah, actually, I'm a bit. Why didn't I include nasturtiums in that video? Because I actually have nasturtiums growing on the allotment, which they grow like a weed on my allotment, but they are, of course, edible, create a beautiful flower, very peppery, but also absolutely delicious and great in the garden. In fact, I think next year I'm going to try growing some more of those beautiful nasturtiums, purposely at home, purposely so I can eat it and use it in our dishes. Mike Stevens remembers the dandelion honey video. It was excellent. Thank you. It was a bit of the dandelion honey was actually really something I just wanted to try. I was scratching for content, I think is the way to say it. And for some reason, I stumbled across dandelion honey, looked into it, and I thought, you know what, that's going to make a video. I'll give it a try. And we did. We tried it, and we're still eating it now. If a recipe calls for a teaspoon of honey or something, we use that, and it works just as well. I'm trying to keep the liquids up tonight and keep drinking the coffee. Now, tomorrow on the podcast comes out Monday night. I've been sent a few gardening horror stories. If anybody else has any gardening horror stories, then please get it into me. I'm having a bit of fun this week because it's Halloween, and I've got to go back to work tomorrow, and I've got a dental appointment tomorrow that I think YouTube and Facebook is getting a bit better, but I'm looking forward to having a bit of fun this week and doing the whole Halloween thing. Mike Stevens, can we count the herbs as edible plants? I certainly do count them as edible plants. I wouldn't count them as edible flowers in many cases. Some are, some aren't, but I certainly count herbs as being in the edible garden. And in my eyes, I think they are probably more important to be to grow in the kitchen garden than vegetables in many ways. The reason I always think herbs are so important, especially for newbie beginners, is, well, they're easy to grow, most herbs. You put them in a pot and let them grow on. But also, when you use them in the kitchen, something like oregano, use that chopped up on cheese on toast. It transforms the flavour of it. And I feel that, like most herbs, you probably use herbs more in the kitchen than anything else that you may not be aware of. It's just so handy having them outside the back door. Just go grab a few herbs and use them. Rosemary, thyme, bay. Today, actually, we've been cooking a beef carbonade, which is a Finnish dish. Really nice, a lot of mustard in it. But for that, I just need a couple of sprigs of thyme and a couple of bay leaves. Just walked out to the garden and got them. And that was all we needed, and that was absolutely delicious. And it really did help just having it there. And Turbo Stream was also saying, he ate some of the beetroot tops this year, similar to Swiss chard. Again, that's something that I love about beetroot. In fact, I've discussed this right at the very beginning, that beetroot, you get 2 crops from one. So you sow the seeds, they grow into this bulbous root that you expect to be beetroot, but those leaves on top are useful. They are edible. They're better when young, of course, when they're small, because they're a bit more palatable, a bit easier to cook, quicker to cook, but also they taste better. But what we found with the longer ones, the bigger beetroot leaves, is that we chop them up, and if we're making like a beetroot soup and we want a bit of the beetroot leaves into it, it goes really well into that, just sort of cooked and wilted down. Also good as the Turbo Stream, was it Turbo Stream? Yeah, as Turbo Stream said, using them similar to Swiss chard, so almost like a spinach substitute, or what else can you use it for? Well, a huge range of things, absolute huge range of things. Ian Beddoes, would you put the oregano on top of a cheese or under to stop it from burning? So what I personally do, in all honesty, is if I'm having cheese on toast, obviously, I would put the cheese on top of the toast and put it under the grill, and then when it's nearly ready, just sprinkle the oregano over, and then just pull it back under the grill for sort of 30 seconds. That's it, and then eat it, and it is delicious. It adds that real, I want to call it an Italian flavour. You know, if you get Italian herbs, the smell or flavour when you're having a dish, or Italian herbs, what do they add to it? Bread. You get that Italian flavour. I just find oregano just adds that to cheese on toast, and it really does make it really, really quite nice. I always put herbs, this is from Mike, I always put herbs on top of food or mixed with it, never under. I kind of, yeah, I've got to say, I always try and add herbs as the last thing in many ways, because herbs, quite often it's about getting the oils out of there into the food, and if it cooks too much, those oils might be lost. But yeah, I always put it on top as well. Stuart Jackson, note to self, brief your helpers before you let them take leaves up to put in the compost. I went to mix my compost bin today and found loads of acorns in the bin, so I'll do it myself next time. If your compost bin is hot enough, Stuart, it'll probably actually kill out those acorns, so you don't get any little acorn trees pop up in next year's compost. But yeah, that is the trouble sometimes when you let other people help you in the garden. That being said, you know, the leaves themselves, just for leaf mould. Excuse me. That's sometimes all I like to do with leaves, is just pop them on their own in a compost bin on their own to make leaf mould. I spoke about this on the podcast. I've got no doubt, Stuart, you would have listened to that, and it's actually pretty worth doing if you've got the space to dedicate a bin to that. Turbo Stream, I never think to add herbs to my cooking, only occasionally dried parsley, and then only if I remember. Well, this is the thing. I think if you're growing more of your own herbs, be it parsley, thyme, what's the other one? Coriander. I mean, I try and, at this time of year, I try and grow all those on my windowsill, and if I want some parsley or coriander, I sowed some dill today to overwinter, because it's on the windowsill over the winter months. I just grab it when I need it and just chop it in. Quite often we don't really buy herbs anymore. Spices we still have to buy. Herbs, absolutely no way. We've got it all growing. I'm just thinking I might have some. I've got a few seeds behind me that are slowly growing. I just suddenly thought perhaps I've got some herb seeds in there, but I don't think I have. I think there's some spinach and what have we got? Spinach, mustard, some cauliflowers, and some pak choi growing in those seeds behind me. You're probably going to want to have a look at them, aren't you? I'll show you them next week because they're not fully germinated yet, and they're a bit small. I don't think the camera will quite pick them up. Mike Stevens, I've tried leaving herbs indoors in pots, but they always die. So now I leave them outside in the soil. I think I fall into that category actually. When they're indoors, I tend to forget about watering them, and that's why I'm really useless with houseplants. But I do find by keeping them on the windowsill, right where I am when I'm cooking or washing up, it kind of jogs my memory because it's there in. So I just do it there and then, and they sit in a tray of water, and that just helps them up. In fact, just up, you probably won't see it actually because of the light. There's a cactus plant just up there that I forgot to water, and it was starting to look a bit sickly. So I've had to move it up there and just make sure I keep remembering to water it for the next few weeks in order to boost it along. Ian Meadows, love potting chives in food, not only flavour but colour and texture. And on that, Steve has said chives in scrambled egg, absolutely yum. And you know what? I'm kicking myself. I had scrambled egg for breakfast this morning and I forgot to add any chives. I didn't add any chives. I've got quite a few chives. I've got garlic chives as well, which are also just as good. And again, chives grown on the windowsill, absolutely beautiful. Turbo Stream, good question. Are they grow lights behind me? And I brought a set and sowed some lettuce to test them over the winter. Yes, they are grow lights. These are the IKEA ones, and I find the IKEA ones actually for the price to be pretty damn good. That's certainly one of the cheapest I've found. There's some that are cheaper, but they only seem to give off this sort of purple light. These ones, brilliant. They're not as good as the more expensive ones. They cost hundreds of pounds, which you've really got to dedicate. But these ones from IKEA, I think they're about £20 each, if I remember right. I could be wrong, but I've found them to be really good. And this is where I tend to start most of my seeds if I'm not doing them outside in the potting shed. In fact, now we're getting into the colder months, all my seeds will be sown in here. I've got heated propagators behind me a bit lower down, which you can't see, but that also helps when it comes to seed germination as well. Coming back to the herbs, Richard Vobes is saying he never knows which herbs to go with what meal. And that's actually a rather good point, because there are certain herbs, dill for example, which goes really well with fish, whereas rosemary goes really well with lamb. So that knowing which one is actually more about taste and preference, but also a case of constantly trying to experiment and see what you get on with and how you like it. And Ian Beddoes is saying, no room for herbs on the windowsill. It's full of green tomatoes. Got a fridge full of ripe ones that I'm going to saute and freeze. Ian, Stuart Jackson did an experiment and let me know about this a few weeks ago about green tomatoes. Now, they will ripen on a windowsill. I've done that myself. They can take quite a while, but they will ripen. But what Stuart Jackson did was put all his green tomatoes in a bowl or in a box with a banana, and then put that box somewhere dark, and they ripened quite quickly. And this is something I've been doing as well. Again, definitely works, and it might just free up your windowsill. What else? What else is going on? Mike Stevens, rosemary goes well with almost any food. I agree. I love rosemary. Smell of it alone is enough to make me absolutely fall in love with it. Got plenty of it growing as well in various other places all over my garden. What else? And Turbo Stream, I paid £30 off Amazon, the pinky type. I brought them for the spring to give my seedlings a good start. My garden faces northwest, so limited light. Yeah, I mean, I've never used those ones on Amazon, the pinky type, in all honesty. I didn't like the look of them. got to remember, this is kind of a set anyway, so I wanted these to not look like it was a pink anyway. But I like the they do have pink actual LEDs in them. They're a mixture of pink and white, but I wanted the white to be more prominent on these. Okay, so I got a few photos that have been mostly posted in the Facebook group. So I thought, let's have a look at those. No, wrong one. Hang on, bear with. Welcome back to another collection of photos received by the Veg Grower podcast. Firstly, Stephen Ticehurst. Now, he is finding the weather very challenging at the moment. With it raining 1 minute, bright sun the next, followed by more rain. Very confusing. But he has pulled out quite a few carrots as well as many other goodies. And what I really love about this photo is look at the colours. How much variation in the colours is there on this photo? Now, he's also got a rather fed up looking butternut squash that he's shared, and he's wondering if anybody else is having this same problem. New member Kelly in the group has shared this photo of her allotment kettle, one of the essentials on any allotment site. Halloween is approaching and Stuart Reynolds has shared the photos of his last year's pumpkins. What awesome faces there are, I've got to say. How very talented and how very clever it is to get that much detail, and it's something I can never do. Cynthia Warder has shared these photos from Kevin's allotment, who we visited a couple of weeks ago. He's built a compost bin, tidied up the shed, and has been busy sowing lots of seeds. So all going well and everything is going to plan. Now finally, the ever grateful Stuart Jackson has been busy sowing seeds from the Supporters Members Club, of which he is a member and a truly cherished member. But that's not all he's been doing. He has also been busy covering up his spring cabbage to make sure the birds don't eat his cabbages. Something that is probably quite a necessity at this time of year. Well, that's it for this week, so thank you so much for joining me. If you want to send in your photos, you can email me, richard@theveggrowerpodcast.co.uk. You can leave them on the Facebook group, just search for the Veg Grower Podcast. So until next time, please take care. Video off.
Oh, okay, mate.
Right, during that, we just had a caller come in, and it's, by the sound of it, it's Mr. Stuart Jackson. Stuart, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine, mate. Very fine. I just thought I'd call to let you know there's more vegetable seeds germinating in my greenhouse than flowers.
Excellent. That's what I like
First
to hear.
time ever.
That absolutely makes me feel so happy hearing that, you know.
Right. But it's your club, that's the trouble. It's a good selling point for your club.
Yeah. Well, do you feel you get value for money? That's the important question.
Yes.
Excellent.
As I said to you in an email, I cancelled all my subscriptions and done yours instead.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. Very kind of you indeed.
It makes more sense because, and how can I put this in a polite way? The magazines sometimes talk at you, not to you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Makes perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah. And your podcast is just so easy to follow.
That's how I try and tailor it. I mean, I think, like the news article I mentioned earlier, there's so many, to the newbie gardeners particularly, they talk in a quite complicated way, and as if you've got to know everything, and if you put the slightest cut on a prune wrong, it's going to kill the plant. And it's not like that at all, but I certainly think simplifying things just encourages more people to give it a go more than anything.
Well, it's just not helping me either. It's helping school because obviously I'm growing the same at school. So whatever you send me, I tend to go and find for school.
Oh,
because
excellent.
I know what's happening and when to grow what.
Yeah.
You know, flowers I've been doing for years, so it's easy for me.
Yeah.
But vegetables are a little bit more difficult. Now, I always thought come September, you knocked it on the head, but now I know not to knock it on the head.
Oh, no. December is going to be the difficult month, but I got a plan for that. But you'll find
good.
that out.
Yeah. Well, I've covered up my spring cabbage and my lettuce and my whatever else, spinach, to stop the birds eating them. So that was my job today.
Yeah. I saw the picture of that actually. Do you
A bit of.
Sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say, do you get many problems with birds eating your cabbage and stuff?
Yeah, I got an oak tree and an ash tree in the bottom of my garden.
Right.
The pigeons are in the oak tree all the time.
Yeah.
So it is just literally cover them up until they're strong enough to look after themselves.
Yeah.
But because they love spinach, but the pigeons just love spinach. So I thought, well, if I'm covering one lot up, I might as well cover them all up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can also keep if the temperature does drop, like they look like it's going to middle of the week.
Yeah.
It might help that little bit as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's certainly going to be challenging to get a lot of these plants through the winter, but at the end of the day, if it dies, you can just grow more.
Yeah, as I said on my picture I sent in today, I'm doing everything you send. I'm doing it two ways: direct sowing or putting them straight into pots, into paper pots, and then see. In theory, the ones in the greenhouse should germinate first, but it doesn't always work like that.
No. I mean, I've been doing experiments with the peas. Did you get peas when you signed up, or is that?
No, I was later than that, but my peas are in.
But your peas are in. Well, actually, I think next week you'll be getting another batch of peas. Actually, a different variety.
Oh, great.
But the peas that I've put in the greenhouse are actually growing really nice and big. The ones that I've put outside are only just germinating, and even then, I think birds are getting at them. So I've had to put something over them.
Yeah, I have to do something about my little visitor in the greenhouse when I do my peas.
Yeah.
So living where probably the same as you've got animals as well, so you're going to have mice and whatever. So you've just got to do the best you can without, they're only looking for food after all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're part of the local eco climate. No, that's not the word. Ecology. They're all these animals are just natural, and if there was a reduction of mice, for example, other bugs might take over.
So, it's true. Yeah. I sowed sweet peas twice, if not three times last year, and it is frustrating, but that's part of gardening, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's so easy to sow more should you need to.
Yeah. That's quite true. Anyway, I better go and let somebody else ring in your last 5 minutes.
Yeah, but somebody did try ringing in, so hopefully they're going to call back again.
Okay then, Rich. I don't know what's the matter with Facebook tonight, but it's not working for anybody, is it?
No. It was a similar problem last week, so I'll sort something out and get it better for next week.
Yeah. Okay, mate.
All right, mate.
Speak to you soon.
Take care. Cheers, buddy. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. So that was Stuart Jackson, as I said, a member of the Supporters Members Club, of the Veg Grower Podcast Supporters Members Club, and very happy with his seeds. Now, during those videos, it was Adrian who was asking about cut and grow again salads. Does he need any special seeds, or will any do? So, generally, cut and come again salads are generally a loose leafed salad, and I've quickly grabbed out of my collection a few packets of what you might call loose leaf. So red salad bowl, and Arctic King. And we have our caller again. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Where's your name?
What's your name? Where you calling from?
Sean James Cameron, London.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm finding it difficult to read text going across the bottom of your page, but that wasn't my main reason to call. Have you ever grown, because I'm thinking about doing it next year, dahlias, but from seed?
I tried from seed, in all honesty, but I've never managed to get the dahlias to germinate for some reason. I don't believe they need any special, they don't need scarifying or stratifying. I think it's just a case of bung them in, but I've never managed to get them to germinate.
because I thought I might have a goal for next year.
Yeah.
This weekend, though, we've been busy. We've had the communal allotment clean-up.
Right.
And like you know, on an allotment with 100 people, it's the same 6 people that turn up.
Of course.
So I've been on skip duty, where people have, they've thrown a table into the skip, but rather than putting it up on its end, they've just put it in the skip. So the skip is full within an hour because there's all these gaps.
Yeah.
So I've been pulling everything out of the skip, categorizing it, and then putting it back in the skip again.
Yeah, of course.
So I've had a very interesting week of putting my hands through people's rubbish, and the amount of compostable stuff that people put in skips is unbelievable.
It really winds me up, that, in all honesty, because especially on an allotment site, compostable stuff is so precious, I think.
And the other issue we've got is people will put compostable stuff on the bonfire.
Yeah.
The amount of clods of grass I've found this weekend, either on the bonfire or in the skip. So I said next year, well, I'm going to stand by the skip for the entire weekend and organise the whole thing. Because when we left on Friday night, it wasn't full.
Yeah, typical, isn't it? It's just, well, I think it's a lot of these people are just after a quick way of doing it, aren't they? They just want to shortcut.
There's a certain, I've noticed on 2 allotment sites that I've been to now, for some reason, there's a certain section of gardeners who will put the grass into bags and take it home to put in their bin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, just build a compost bin.
I know.
And they go, oh, no. And I had an argument with somebody once, and she was going, no, I'm quite happy to put the grass in my car and take it home. I just couldn't get my head around it.
So, but how do these people, do they import compost to use in their garden, or they in a allotment, or are they just?
Well, there was somebody who was literally taking clods of grass into compost bags, putting it into her car, and she was going down the tip to get rid of it.
I mean, I guess at the tip, at least it does get going into a compost site facility somewhere. But at the same time,
it's an awful lot of effort when you could just make a compost bin yourself.
Yeah. And I've never met a gardener now who does not want more compost.
Yeah, I think it might be because my father was the manager of the co-op store, so I grew up in the co-op, and I'm very good at packing a box or a bag.
Yeah.
So I was very good at doing the skip of going, right, put that there, turn that table up on its side, you put your corrugated iron on each side so that you build, so that stuff doesn't fall out from the side and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my new role down on the site now is allotment, skip, marshal, I think.
Skip marshal. I was going to call you skip manager, but marshal sounds better.
And then you always get people who turn up at 1 o'clock going, oh, was that today? Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And the person the plot that said this was the local councillor's plot, and I lost my cool and I said, oh, it's fine. Typical councillors, they turn up after all the work's done.
I bet that went down well.
Well, apparently they do it on a regular basis. So I've said, right, next year we'll tell him a date and we'll actually do it the week before. So that he'll turn, or the week after, so that he'll turn up thinking that he's just missed it.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll be getting myself a high vis.
Yeah, that'll probably bring the council out more now, wouldn't it? By wearing a high vis on an allotment.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's what I've been up to this weekend.
Oh, sounds busy. Are you growing much over the winter?
Yes, I've got spring cabbage in that I'm slightly paranoid about not because of it not growing, but because of the foxes.
Right.
So this week I'm building proper. I was going to do the hoop frames, but I've decided to build proper wooden boxes to go on top of my raised beds.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking about, in order to then attach them to the raised bed, but make it easy access to pull them off to do weeding, I'm going to try by attaching magnets
Right.
to the frame and then magnets to the frame of the raised bed and see if that works. And then it's easy to get them off.
Yeah. Yeah, because I tend not to cover anything because if I'd forgot a cover on it, it puts me off doing the weeding. So.
Well, I've got spring cabbage. I've got two types of spring cabbage, cauliflower, shallots. Once I've built my frame, I can then open my other raised bed, and in there I've got leeks to transplant, to put in purple sprouting, broccoli, onions. So I think my two beds this year will solely be the winter food.
Right, yeah.
Which is the first time that I've been this disorganized on this plot.
Yeah.
Because at last the plot does feel as if it's like coming together now after 3 years.
Yeah, it does take a while to get really on top of your plots and find out quite how everything grows, doesn't it?
And it's strange how when I put my blue shed up, which is where I go and make tea, when I put that up in August of last year, all of a sudden, because I believe in this thing that the plot tells you where it wants to have a path and it tells you where it wants to have a bed.
Yeah.
If you listen to the land. And once I put this shed there, all of a sudden, the whole design of the plot just happened.
Right.
Whereas
yeah.
for the first 2 years, I just couldn't feel. How could I say it? I wasn't feeling the space.
Right. Yeah.
But once this shed went up, all of a sudden everything fell into place, and I'm like, right, the flower beds are there, the grape is there, the food's over there, the flowers are in the corner,
Yeah, is that because the shed then becomes like the central base, the central feature, and everything works around that?
It could, yes, it could be, and it could be a TV thing as well, because if you sit outside your shed with a cup of tea, my plot now looks more, to me anyway, it feels like a TV set. Right, the greenhouse is going in that corner, so when I come out of the greenhouse in the shot, my seedling area is just outside.
Right. Yeah.
So there's no travelling to the other side of the plot.
Yeah.
To do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it still looks like a garden, because my allotment is classed as a leisure garden site where you don't have to have. I don't have to put any veg in at all if I don't want to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your site? Is that a straightforward allotment, or?
Yeah, I mean it is allotment, but the rules are it's for growing vegetables, flowers, herbs, basically for growing any plants that you like.
Yeah.
The only thing they don't allow, there's certain plants they don't allow, such as willow or bamboo, but they don't allow kids climbing frames and swings and stuff on the allotments. That being said, there are a couple of plots with those things on, so they don't enforce it very well anyway.
That's probably a rule that's come in because some children annoyed the committee at some point.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, my site's quite a big site, so there's plenty of space to escape anybody should you need to, in my opinion. Because we've got over 200 plots, I think it is.
Right. But it's fascinating how the rules change from site to site. Like my last one, there was a rule you couldn't sleep in your sheds overnight.
Yeah.
And that stemmed from because people have come down on a Saturday, done their plot, they've had a drink with their mates, they're too drunk to go home because some people have to catch a bus to go home. So this bloke would just stay in his shed for the night.
Yeah.
Wasn't causing an issue. But because he fell out with the secretary, when the rules got done, a new rule came in.
Yeah.
Not allowed to sleep in your sheds.
Yeah. We had
It's surprising how all these extra little rules are
adapted.
If you go back historically, they're all connected to the fact that somebody annoyed somebody else at some point.
Yeah. Well, we had, when I first started on my allotment, we were allowed bonfires and barbecues. Well, they've since been banned. Now,
and what's the reasoning behind that?
I believe because of this road work that has been going on alongside it. That ban came in just as they started, so I think they've put it in place to try and stop any potential fire causing damage to the machinery and equipment that's coming in. That's the only thing I can see.
Or could it be that it's laid the groundwork so that you don't annoy the neighbours, so it's a lot easier for them to sell the houses?
There is that as well, and because we do get quite a few houses around ours as well, so there's certainly that. But then we've got a football club just to the top of ours as well, and they quite often have a bonfire going on, and nobody complains about that.
The thing is, there's so much goes on behind the scenes. There was the last allotment site I was on was full, but they tell me a story that 20 years ago, if you wanted to plot, you could come on and the entire site was covered in brambles and there were only 3 or 4 decent plots in the middle.
Yeah.
And it turned out that the secretary, if you phoned up and said, could you put me on the list, he'd say, the site's full.
Yeah.
And he was purposely running the site down because he then tried to sell it to a builder under the council's nose.
Jesus.
But then somebody found out, and then he got kicked off and everything.
Yeah.
Because I would love the system that they have out in Amsterdam and Switzerland and Germany, where you're allowed to sleep in your shed from Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah.
Because but I say shed, their sheds are like 10 by 15 foot. And you can get a proper bed in them.
Yeah, they're a bit more like a chalet, aren't they? They're pretty, yeah.
But that's what I wish that we had here.
Yeah. I mean, I think here in the UK, despite us being more into allotments, they don't really acknowledge the allotments for their true value anymore.
I was interviewed by The Guardian, by The Telegraph yesterday for an article next week. And I'd be interested to hear your take, because we thought maybe it was a London-centric thing. But the whole article is based on, are women outnumbering men on allotment sites? I thought maybe they were, but I thought it was a London thing, because I don't think they are up in the north. So maybe that's a question to pose for everybody.
Yeah, so I'll put that out there to everyone else who's watching. Are women outnumbering the amount of men on the allotment sites? On my site, I would say it's about 50-50. But I had a conversation back in the summer when I was locking up for the night, when this bloke who also has an allotment site came along, and as soon as I saw him, I knew this was going to be a long conversation. But he started moaning that women shouldn't be on the allotment site, and children shouldn't be on the allotment site either. And I was a bit sort of taken back with this conversation, not wanting to be rude, but at the same time didn't want to agree with him. And I just turned around and said, well, the trouble is with that theology is that that's why allotments were being closed down, because they weren't opening up their doors to more people.
Yeah.
But he may be quite cross with that comment, though.
What I have noticed is, in the last 2 years, there's a lot more 20 and 30-something females taking plots on.
Yeah.
And doing extremely good things, with them. But I find their attitude is, I've turned up, I've done the plot, I've done my Instagram pictures, and I'm going home. Whereas the men, and especially what you would call the old guard, will spend 4 hours on their plot, but only half an hour doing their plot. The other hours are spent having a cup of tea and having a chat in the shed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also very true. Certainly more of a social aspect that goes on.
Because I think this current interest will go on for at least the next year.
Yeah.
Because I've come to accept now this COVID situation. This is the new world order, and you just need to get on with life now, because it's definitely around and for the next 18 months.
Oh, at least, I think. Given that people are saying that we could be heading for another lockdown, it makes me wonder, if we have another lockdown, are we going to be able to visit our allotments?
Yeah. Well, I will let you go, because I could see there's that Richard Vobes. He likes to complain. He's saying this is a long call.
Yeah.
But this is a problem with the lockdown. You don't speak to anybody for days.
Yeah.
So when you get an opportunity,
it's nice.
You can't stop talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'll get off now so that Richard Vobes can phone in next and tell us what he's doing in his garden.
Oh, you missed that at the beginning.
Oh, right. Well, I'll go back then.
Lovely to hear from you, Sean.
All the best.
All the best.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye. There we go, Sean James Cameron. So we'll be closing up. I'm going to go a little bit longer tonight because that phone call went on for a while. Before he called, Adrian was asking about cut and come again salads. Do you need specifically cut and come again salads? And what I would say, no, you don't. What you don't want is the tight-headed lettuces, like the icebergs or anything. But the loose-leafed, like I say, the salad bowls, which come in red or green, or Arctic King, which is also quite loose. Arctic King is also very good for growing over the winter, I've got to say. You don't want to use those if you're trying to do a cut and come again. You want to stick with the loose leaf, and they really do work quite well. Added to that, you could also grow some baby kale. You can make your own seed mix up, in all honesty. Mix up some loose leafed lettuce, some pak choi, some kale. Have a mix of that, and that should make some nice little cut and come again salads. What else did we have? Charles Richardson. Hello, Richard. Hello to you. Lee Terence Connolly on Facebook. Are we still live? We are. We're on YouTube due to technical issues, whereas Facebook seems to be working a bit better. What else? Who else have we got there? Lovely veg there from Richard Vobes, and a lovely allotment stove. I think this is coming back from the photo video we put up earlier. Would I be able to pot Chantine carrots in my raised beds as well as planting peas for the grandkids? This is for me and Beddoes. I think, is this for this time of year, or are you looking at next year? I would say if you're looking at next year, then there'll be absolutely no problem putting those in together. Chantine carrots are quite small and quite a rounded one, so they don't take up a huge amount of room, but I do recommend using them with your peas. Peas might block them out, so you might just need to give them quite a bit of room between the plants. I tried this from Turbo Stream. I tried growing dahlias, but the slugs ate the lot. I was thinking I do have some dahlia seeds somewhere, and I was going to have a look at them, but I think next year I'll give that a try if we've got plenty of time to do it next year. What else? The Sean is a name dropper, but has he got Charlie Dimmock's mobile number? He says he does. 2 months' time, it will be Christmas days. Are there any more typical Christmas plants other than holly and Christmas cacti? Christmas Brussels sprouts. Although, are you looking at buying these for... This is from Mike again. Are you thinking of buying these plants for Christmas, or are you as gifts or to have in the house? Or are you thinking of what can be grown for Christmas dinner? I've got one on the end of my head that comes from Jamaica and I cannot remember. Poinsettia. That's another Christmassy plant. Adrian says, thank you. You're welcome. Ian Bellow, spring. Yeah, so if you're going to grow these Chantine carrots in the spring with your peas, should be fine. I think I find, I mean, I quite like Chantine carrots because they're small, so they don't need a huge amount of compost or in a raised bed. They don't need to go so deep down to grow. And because they're small, they're quicker and they taste better. I always think smaller veg tastes better. Rhubarb will disappear now until spring, from Sean. Stuart Jackson always grows dahlias from seed. So, oh, we have a caller. I had a feeling we were going to get one. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Lee Connolly from Colchester in Essex.
Ah, hello. How are you doing?
Hello, mate. Has the clock's come back or thought? What time is it?
It is now 7:20.
Have you just started?
No, we started about an hour and 20 minutes ago.
Oh, I'm so confused. I just was. Oh, he's still on. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How's yourself?
Very well, mate. Very well.
Yeah.
Although a little bit chilly, but good.
Yeah, it's chilly in here tonight, actually.
Yeah, it's getting colder, mate. It's definitely 2 months till Christmas.
2 months to Christmas. 2 months to Christmas.
I know.
Can you think of any other Christmas, typical Christmas plants other than holly, Christmas cacti, and poinsettia?
I was going to say poinsettia because that seems to be a classic that everyone seems to kill.
Yeah. You know why?
Go on.
It's because it's originally from Jamaica, and we force it to be ready for Christmas because it looks good. But actually, it's more traditionally grown in Jamaica during the warmer months.
Jamaica? No, she come of her own accord.
Yeah.
I didn't know that actually. So odd how things come into fashion like that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very weird, and how we force these things and expect them to live.
Yeah, always it seems to be. Doesn't stop me getting one for me mum, but there we go.
Yeah, but does your mum appreciate it?
Yeah, moments, yeah, sure.
Well, there you
Why
go.
not?
That's all that matters.
That's it, mate. What's everyone been talking about tonight? As I come in a bit late.
Yeah, we've been discussing cat and come again salad leaves. We've been discussing herbs, a lot of discussion on herbs, and edible flowers.
Oh, really? Edible flowers today?
Yeah.
Nice, man. I haven't really got much about edible flowers apart from them ones that make your tongue go a little bit funny. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like little yellow things.
Electric
daisies.
Electric daisies, that's it. Yeah.
That's my most exciting one. That said, I've never grown them, but I do like them.
Yeah, I've tried growing them, but I've not had much success with those.
No, I've only eaten them from specialist growers that have given to me already cut off. So I'm sure you can grow them.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. It's probably one of those that you just got to spend some time to get right.
That's it, my friend. That's it.
Yeah.
I feel like they're one of them things you'd get as a Christmas gift. You know, you get seeds for Christmas.
Yeah.
Feels like one of them sort of things.
Definitely, because wasn't that part of James Wong's collection a while back?
Probably the Weird and Wonderful.
Yeah.
I think he might have been the one that popularised them for a bit.
Yeah, like most things that came out at that time, which, dare I say it, have gone by the wayside now.
Feels like it. They don't feel as important at the moment, do they?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Oh dear, mate. Oh well, I thought I'd call in. I was just I've just finished watching Harry Potter actually, and I thought, just totally didn't realise what time it was because clocks and all that. I thought, oh no, Richard Suggett, and then I saw you still on, mate. So
you were lucky. You were lucky.
glad glad to have made it on.
Yeah, we're glad to hear from you as well. Now,
You too, man.
Sean's just said amaryllis is another good Christmas plant.
Amaryllis.
Yeah, that's another one I didn't think of.
What's amaryllis look like?
I've got one somewhere. My one's a red flower. I can't think of how to describe it. Quite long, sharp leaves.
Oh yeah. I'll Google it.
Google it. Google it. It's going to be the easiest way. They put me on the spot there.
Got ya. Oh, cool, man. Well, look. I don't know how long you're going on to. Is this like a 24-hour show? But I'm sure I'll be tuning in.
Oh, well, I'm probably only going to go for another 5 minutes because.
Well, that's just saying. What is going on out here? I'm sitting outside and there's something kicking stones around.
Fox.
I hope not. Anyway, yeah, bit of a tangent, but yeah, no, I just thought I'd say hello and I hope you had a great weekend, mate.
Yeah. All right, you too. I hope you had a good weekend too, bud.
And yeah, that's about it, really. I've been in the woods today looking for more bug hotel stuff, so seems to be Ollie's favourite thing to do at the moment. So
what, making bug hotels?
Bug hotels, yeah. We went to a woodland, right?
Yeah.
In Brentwood, that was sponsored by the Gruffalo.
Good sponsor. Good sponsor.
The pack there. You had to go around looking for the Gruffalo. Good idea, though, I thought.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea.
Brandon, what brand, here's a question for you, what brand or character would you make allotmenteering fashionable?
The two characters on my Veg Grower podcast logo. They don't have names.
Well, they do need names. I'm sure someone said about their name the other day. Ian's made names from like Callie or something, isn't he?
I've no idea. This
One
is
called
news
Kevin.
to me.
One's called Kevin, isn't it? I've seen his name.
Oh, that might be Kevin the Carrots, the LD
Kevin,
Carrots out behind me.
Oh, but that's not the one you're talking about. Anyway, tangent central. But yeah, what character would you get? Let's put it out to the group to get allotmenteering fashionable.
There we
More
go.
fashionable.
There we go.
Right, I'm signing out. Nice to speak to you.
Nice to speak to you too. Cheers, buddy.
See you, mate.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Oh, there we go. Lee Connolly. Full of them tonight. All of them coming in. So, lots of comments coming in during that call as well. Charles has grown strawberry. Good choice. I do like strawberries myself. Ian Beddoes also finds carrots sweeter when smaller. And Mike always finds sprouts better from the stalk than separates. Yeah, I've got to say, I think fresh Brussels sprouts do taste a lot better. Amaryllis, another one of those, that was Sean who mentioned that. Ian Beddoes was confused too. The clock said it was 7 before he started. It's not, it's coming up to 7:30 now. Oh, Cetia are dangerous to cats. I didn't know that, but that explains a lot. It can kill them, apparently. Well, that's not good. Poppy. Poppies are good for edible flowers. Oh, no. You can use the poppy seed, but there are types of poppy that I believe are quite hallucinogenic. Charles is drinking Diet Coke. Ian Beddoes got an amaryllis upstairs. It's tall, steep, and a big flower head. The stream is working fine now, Richard. Typical, just as we're even on Facebook. It looks like it's working fine. Potato Pete and Kevin the Carrot, Alex the Allotmenteer. Characters are coming in thick and fast. So we've got 3 minutes to go before I close up for tonight. Get ready to return back to work tomorrow. Shouldn't complain because there are people who are out of jobs and would probably love to go back to work. But I'd sooner be in the garden, in all honesty. I really would. If I could afford to just go gardening 24 hours a day, I probably would. I don't know if anybody else feels that, but that's certainly how I feel. So, as I wrap up, like I said, coming up this week, it is going to be Halloween week. So what we are going to be having, there's going to be a slight change to the logo, which I'm really annoyed that the video didn't work. But a slight change to the logo, and this Monday's podcast is going to be gardening horror stories. They've been sent in for this next week to me. And then next week, here in the podding shed, we're going to add a few ghosts and ghouls and have a bit of a laugh. Just before we close off, Mike is asking, what are your gardening plans for this next week? So my gardening plans for this next week is basically, on the allotment, I'm just going to be building a new bed. I've cleared an area this weekend where I've dug up some leeks and used those. That I've realised I can now fit in one more bed. This is where I've got one huge bed, which hasn't really worked for me. So I'm now going on to the 2.4 metres by 1.6 metres wide beds, and I'm going to have those in place of this big bed at the top of my allotment. So that's going to happen down on the allotment. I'm probably going to sow a few more herb seeds to grow indoors, and particularly in here. And what other plans have I got? And hopefully, fingers crossed, my wood is going to arrive to build my shed. Fingers crossed, because there's a slight delay in that happening. Turbo Stream, I need to actually go to your allotment, Mike. Okay, and Ian Meadows, do I need to keep the Grandkids pumpkin for Sunday? Yes, please. Love to see a photo of it, actually, Ian. If you can pop that in the group or send it to me by email, that would be great. Right, it's 7:30, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I'm going to give this video one more go. If it doesn't work, then I'll cut to the the closing scene. We'll be back again next Sunday. Hopefully the internet will work much better next Sunday. Fingers crossed, but we will find out. And Stuart Jackson, could you pop the details of your grow lights on your website? Will do. I'll pop that on tomorrow's podcast on the show notes for that. And if it rains, I will build a few raised beds out of pallets. That sounds like a good plan. Right, guys, same time next week, Halloween special. Till then, take care.